Hi kids, today we're going to be talking about the elements of art. The elements of art include line, shape, form, space, texture, color, and value. Today we are going to be focusing on line. There are many types of lines. You can have vertical lines. You can have horizontal lines. You can have slanted or diagonal lines. If you have trouble remembering which ones are which, just remember, the horizon is horizontal. Another way to think about lines is whether they are straight lines or curved lines. Lines can also be wavy or zigzag. They can be swirly or curly, or spiral, or pretty much anything you can think of. We also talk about lines in relationship to whether they are thick or thin. They can be anything in between. Thicker lines are usually considered to be a little bit more heavy, and thin lines are considered to be more light. You can have dashed lines, like the lines on a street. You can have dotted lines. You can even have something that's called implied lines. So for example, in this picture, all of the lines are vertical or horizontal, but there are implied lines that are diagonal. So when we look at this picture, our eyes see the diagonal lines that are here and here, even though they're not actually drawn in. Those are implied lines. Another thing to think about is how lines are used in art to express certain ideas or feelings. For example, vertical lines can suggest height and strength because they extend towards the sky and seem unshakable. Here's an example with a tall tree, and it gives you that feeling of height. Another example is with these tall columns, and you can see that height stretching towards the sky, and it gives you that feeling of strength. And here's another example with some tall trees along a path. Horizontal lines can suggest width, distance, calmness, and stability. And here are some examples of horizontal lines in pictures. Another picture with the horizon. But does this picture give you a feeling of peace, stability? So that's 3 examples of pictures that have a lot of horizontal lines. And you can see in the picture where it has the woman, even the clouds have horizontal-ish lines that give you that feeling of peace and calm. Diagonal lines in art can imply movement and can sometimes suggest a lack of stability. In this picture by Van Gogh, you can see how all of his brush strokes are diagonal, and some of them are even kind of zigzag, and it gives the picture a feeling of movement. You almost see the wheat and the grasses moving in the wind, and it almost makes it look like the picture itself is moving, even though it's just a painting. In this picture, You can see the diagonal lines suggesting that the boat is moving, and you can see the movement on the bridge. Zigzag lines can convey action and excitement. They can also sometimes suggest restlessness or anxiety. In this zigzag picture, when you look at it, it almost seems like the lines are moving, but they're not. Zigzag lines are often used in optical illusions for this reason. Zigzag lines are often used in folk art and weaving and tile. And you can also see a lot of zigzag lines in this folk art. Some are in the patterns, as if they're suggesting the weaving of their clothing, but there's also a little bit of zigzag in their faces, and I see a little bit of feeling coming from that. Curved lines can express comfort, ease, and emotion. They can also suggest movement. When you look at this picture, what do you feel? Do you feel happy? Do you feel love? Does it look like the swirls are moving? Does this picture convey a sense of peace? Look at all the curves on the umbrellas and the curves of the people and even the curve of the gentle slope of the hill. On this picture, the wave, you can see the curves suggesting movement. You can almost predict exactly where that wave would fall if this were a cartoon and not a painting. Here are some fun art projects to practice lines. Check out the other videos if you would like to see detailed instructions for these projects. And while you're at it, listen to the story, The Straight Line Wonder by Mem Fox.